Very much for your attendance. My name is Phil Clement. I'm the Head of Investment and Export at the Swindon and Wiltshire Local Enterprise Partnership. And this morning we're joined by Wilfred Emmanuel Jones, the founder and managing director of the Black Farmer Limited. Thank you very much for joining us today, Wilfred.
It's really good to be with you and also to see you in the flesh. I mean, one day we'll be able to sort of meet each other and shake hands, but it's a time I'm looking forward to.
Great. Well, you're a new business to the area, and we'll touch upon that during the course of today's discussion. But can you just give the audience a bit of a flavour of what the Black Farmer Limited is all about?
Well, my claim to fame is that I am the only black farmer in the UK, and I was actually one of the Windrush generation, and I came to this country in the 1950s. I'm sure that your audience knows the story. People like my parents came here in order to better their lives, and I was brought up in a place called Small Heath in Birmingham. And believe it or not, Phil, I'm from a family of 11, and we were very, very, very poor. And one way of subsidizing the family income is that my father had an allotment. And I absolutely loved being on this allotment. It was really my oasis away from the misery that I was surrounded by. And I made myself a promise at the age of 11 that one day I would buy my farm. Now, it took me 35 years to be able to get the money in order to do that. But that is the thing that drove me most of my life and career. And when I eventually was in a position to buy my farm, one of the things that I wanted to do was to create a brand that was going to really have standout. And as you probably know, there ain't many black people or people of color in rural Britain, let alone in farming. And when I bought my farm and I decided I wanted to create a brand that was really going to get people to stand up and start to ask questions about, I decided actually, why don't I call myself the Black Farmer? And the reason I call myself the Black Farmer is that that is what my next door neighbors used to call me. And I thought, well, God, that's a pretty good brand name. Why don't you use that? And also what I wanted is that I wanted this brand to be something that is really demonstrating what Britain is today. And Britain is quite multicultural, the variety of color, etc. So I didn't want to be seen as an ethnic brand, i.e. I did not want to be seen like as a Levi Roots brand, which is all about sort of Caribbean, etc. I wanted to be seen as a very British quintessential brand. So if anybody sees my branding, you'll see that I'm there flying the flag, and I'm majorly supportive of everything British, working with British farmers, working with local British companies. It's a real big value for the business. And so when I started, in order to really establish those principles, I started by doing something which is very, very important to us as British people, and that is the sausage. Everybody will have an opinion about a sausage. So I decided, well, I'm going to create the ultimate sausage. And at the time when I created this sausage, I discovered there was something like 1 in 100 people who had some sort of wheat intolerance, that they had an issue. So I thought, right, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a gluten-free sausage that not only could be consumed by people who have those issues, but also, very importantly, it could be consumed by the mainstream. So I created the first major gluten-free sausage. So that's how we launched. And most sausages now, good quality sausages, are gluten-free. So I want to take the credit for actually starting that trend. The biggest day of my celebration is when Tesco's did a massive advertising campaign promoting gluten-free sausages. So we started off with sausages, and then we branched out into other products. So we do chicken, we do pork, we do a massive variety of products. And the key thing for us is that it has to be British, it has to be premium, it has to have very good animal welfare credentials, and it's what we call affordable premium. So the business model until recently was really supplying our products to the supermarkets. And everybody will have a story about what it's like working with a supermarket, and it's bloody tough.
So you've moved the HQ from Devon up to Chippenham recently, and we can talk about some of the support that you got from the Let for doing that. What was the rationale behind moving it to the Chippenham area?
Well, the farm that I have is in Devon. Now, everybody has fantastic stories about Devon. It's a beautiful place and, absolutely wonderful. But one of the major issues you have for being so far west as I am, because my farm is near a place called Launceston, or Lanston, as they say, down there, and distribution is an absolute nightmare. What you in all any business, in order to thrive, you've got to go and be near urban centres. And what is important for the brand is our Southwest credentials. It's really, really important. I would regard myself as a real champion of the Southwest. So I wanted to stay in the Southwest, but I knew that actually for the business to have longevity, being based in Devon was not going to work. That is one of the reasons why I decided actually Chippenham is the ideal location. And I tell you what, Phil, I'm amazed that more people don't know about what a magical position that Wiltshire is, and especially somewhere like Chippenham, because where I've decided to establish our offices and our units is a Bumpers Farm, which is just off the M4. It's not very far from Bristol or Bath. Very, very quickly you could drive into London. You could even get a fast train at Chippenham station into London. It is the absolute ideal location to actually get around the rest of Britain. So that is one of the reasons why I decided that I was going to, in a sense, establish my business in Wiltshire. And
Great. Thanks, Wilfred. I mean, one of the reasons why we first met was because you applied into the Growing Places Infrastructure Fund, which was the loan monies that we support growing companies with between 150,000 to 2 million. So can you describe to the audience some of the ways that that fund has supported your company?
Well, we would not have been able to make that move to Wiltshire if we did not get your support. Because what we had to do is that we had to get units. We had to, it's a lot of money to be able to relocate. And so without that support, it would never happen. So the unit that we have, and then also we have a fulfillment center. So things like freezers and fridges, because we're in the food business, you can't get that wrong. And in order to get the necessary equipment in order to do our business, we needed to come to you to get help and support for that. So that's how that fund has been very, very useful. But also the connections we needed then to make with the local businesses, because our business model is pretty simple. What we have in Chippenham is a fulfillment center. And what we then do is that we then work with local farmers, food producers, suppliers, who could then bring stuff into our fulfillment center, which we could then package up all together and send it out under the Black Farmer branding. But as I said, because we're in food, we have to have, like the freezer space that we need to have is a pretty expensive. The fridge space, there's so much that, it would make your eyes water to think of what you need to put together in order for something like that to happen.
So you're working with a number of local food producers. Are there any particular suppliers that you'd be still interested in talking to? Any particular types of produce?
Well, the business model will only work if we can work with local suppliers. And what we've done since we moved to Chippenham is that we initially got in touch with lots of different, whether that's people who supply vegetables, fruit, butchers, bakers. So we have butchers who supply us from, we have people in Devizes, we have people from Melksham, we have people in Corsham. But the other things that I'm looking for, which we've started to add to our website, is gifts. So, for example, we're dealing with a company that is based in Holt, just outside Bradford and Avon. So if people go onto the Black Farmer website, that you will see the type of things that we're offering. And every single one of those products that you will see comes from local suppliers. And we're branching out from just being a food website into being a lifestyle. So whether that's gifts that you want to be able to send to your relatives. So we're doing things like candles and soaps and shampoos and also, giftable items that you could actually give to your loved ones. And for it to work, all of that needs to be supplied to us locally. So anybody watching this who've got some really interesting products, food or non-food, that think may go well under the Black Farmer brand, we are desperate to hear from them.
And you're supplying internationally and nationally now?
That's right. Yeah. So one of the things that we've also just discovered is that we have an international following, that people in the States and Canada especially are quite keen to find out more about the Black Farmer brand, and therefore they're interested then in having some token of what the brand sort of represents. So that is where the giftable items are very, very important, because actually exporting food to the States and Canada is an absolute nightmare. Even the very boxes that we use to be sending out to customers comes locally. So it very, very, very much is reliant on local businesses for our success.
And in terms of future expansion, I understand you're looking at setting up a farm shop at the facility?
Yeah. So my big dream is to have something that I call the Black Farmer experience. And it's going to be a venue where people from all over the country, when they're going down to the southwest, with Devon, Cornwall, and they're passing through, they says, oh, we must stop off at the Black Farmer experience. And at the Black Farmer experience, there'll be farm shop, there'll be restaurant. I want to have a conference center where people will want to come there. They want to be inspired about business, because, as you know, Phil, one of my great passions is about startups, about business, how to inspire people to give it a go, to go on their own. So I want this Black Farmer experience to be a venue where people could come and have lectures and talks. And finally, I want to have a wedding venue in this location, and I want to marry the first couple who come to the Black Farmer experience. So that is the vision. Now, I've been to see a couple of sites, and there's one that I'm really interested in, which is just outside Devizes, and it's a small holding that is owned by the council. So I put my bid in, as I'm sure a number of people are, in order to actually make that the bricks and mortar location for people to go. Because all too often people are asking me, can we come and visit? Can we come and visit? And in truth, the farm isn't an ideal place for people to visit. And I want them to be able to visit somewhere in the Wiltshire that represents what the whole brand is about. So whether people who listen to this may know a farmer, may know somebody that's interested in the Black Farmer experience being on their premises, that's exactly the sort of conversation that I want. It has to be in Wiltshire, because that is now the home of the brand.
Great, excellent. Well, it's nice to know that you've come to the area and you're expanding, you're creating more local employment for local people, and also you're supporting the supply chain here as well through your various links with companies that already exist in the area. So that's really good news. I understand that you were awarded an MBE and you had to go to the Palace in the summer this year. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very, very much. You see, you just never know what's going on out there. So obviously someone is noticing the work that I do. And what I say to people is this, the thing that's important for me is that the Black Farmer business is a purpose-driven business. We're more than just selling product. It's about the good we could do for the local people around, the employment that we give, and how do we serve the greater good? How can my experience inspire others to give it a go? And so the more of that I could do, the more that I feel that I'm doing my bit to make the world a better place.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you again on Question Time, which was the first time I actually saw you on the TV. So it's a pleasure to have you here today. And thank you once again for taking part in our conference. And we wish you the very best of luck. And I look forward to working with you on the applications the business grows.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem.